PPR and the Wall-to-Wall Country Show. Hello, everybody. It's Case. Welcome to another edition of A Great Country Tune. Let's get right to it. Very excited and a huge honor to have on the show today. I've been promising you guys that Mr. Gene Watson is going to be with us today. And I'm just so excited. I just can't stand it. Sir, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on board. You're known as the singer's singer, legendary across the board for country music industry. You've been doing it since 1962. My goodness, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day today.
Glad you're welcome. It's good to be talking to you, Casey.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure. Now, just so my listening audience knows, if we happen to lose Mr. Watson, he is on a cell phone and he's traveling today. You're in Nashville, or you're down in that area?
No, I'm coming from my home down around the Houston area, Houston, Texas.
Oh my goodness, you're in Texas. But you probably got better weather than I got up here. Let me tell you, we're in Pennsylvania.
Oh me,
it
can get pretty bad up there.
It's
about 50 degrees here, but it's drizzling, a little rain, so it's kind of messy. But
well, we got fog and drizzle and rain, except that it's in the 30s.
Yeah, well, that's a difference. I'm glad that I've got it on my side of it.
Yeah, you got definitely a little warmer weather down there, sir.
Yeah.
So let's, I know you don't have a lot of time, but let's just touch base on a few things. You have been, you released your first single back in 1962. My goodness gracious, fans call you the maker of real country. You continue to hold true to your hometown style of country music. Can you give us a little background, sir? I mean, my goodness, how do you continue to do what you do for so many years? How does it work?
Well, I'm extremely fortunate, I guess, in the fact that my voice has kind of stayed intact, but I'm not a screamer or a yeller or anything like that. I sing and I try to give the people, what made me, and I don't get too far from that. I stay pretty much traditional, and the fans have always been extremely good to me, and I try my best to return the favor. But I mean, besides trying to record the kind of music that they expect me to record, I still, at our shows, sign autographs, shake hands, take pictures, and all of that stuff. So when I say that my fans are everything to me, well, that's the truth. I mean, without them, you're dead in the water. And I'm afraid there's too many entertainers that don't realize that.
Well, I find that amazing that, you still hold true to that. And I think you're right. Unfortunately, sometimes you're right. They lose sight of that. But, there's a lesson to be learned here. People of your caliber that you walk out and you'll shake hands and say hi to people and, look them in the eye kind of thing. I mean, that is totally amazing. And it's something to be learned for some of these new artists. Would that be one of the things of good advice that you could pass on to some of these artists out there?
Well, it's like this. The ones that are on top, the same fans that put them there will be standing there when they're coming down, Mm-hmm. So they would be a whole lot better served if they would let the fans know how much they appreciate what they've done for them. And I mean, I feel like going out there and signing some autographs and getting to meet the people and shaking hands, taking a few pictures. I feel like that's the least I can do to show my appreciation for how great they've been to me.
And your career has been sustainable. I mean, you didn't really have, the fluctuation that some do. You got started, and I read a little bit about your biography where you said it was almost like a mistake, kind of getting into the music industry. But you never let that deter your ambition to kind of keep it up there and keep going and stay current at the time and manage to have a success of a career that's lasted incredibly long, and you're still out there, like you said. You're touring, you're making new music. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's I love being in the studio. I'm just thankful, like I say, that there's a demand for it, because we have been we've been selling out venues just about everywhere we play, and that's because we are so loyal to our fans, and they pretty much know what they're going to get when they come to see a Gene Watson show. They get, I don't leave nothing on the stage. When I get through, it might be that someone didn't like me, but they can't say I didn't give it everything I had, and that's what I do. That's me. I mean, I try to record the best material that I can find, and I try to show as much appreciation to my fans as I can. In fact, they're the reason, them and the writers and singers are the reason for my latest CD that I've got out, My Heroes Have Always Been Country.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to record a CD to let all of my fans know where Gene Watson came from, how he came about, and what I always listen to. In fact, the songs on this CD are some of the songs that I've always sang, even back before I had a song of my own to sing, and they were recorded by some of my heroes that I thought were some of the greatest recording artists that ever went to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to my music, I'm 110%. I mean, there's no more than I can give than what I give right now. I'm that determined in what I do, and I think that my fans deserve that.
Well, that's so amazing and so admirable, and it's kind of interesting when you said your heroes, and your album is about the heroes. And tell us who are. I mean, you're probably a hero in some upcoming artists' eyes as well. I mean, you probably have that status among some people, and recognizably so. I mean, you have the right to have that as some artists to look up to, and facet their lifestyle as being a country music artist is what you've done. But who are your heroes? Who have you looked up to over the years?
Well, I mean, Haggard. He was probably one that I admired about as much as anybody could. But there's so many of them that I got something from. Up in my part of the career and everything, Joe Diffie, I think one of the greatest vocalists there is out there. The late Ray Price, he was one of my all-time favorites. And, who can forget about George Jones? I mean, yeah. I had so many people to admire, and never, ever had an inkling that I would come up to their standards, but I thought that the best that I could do would be at least be true to the music and use my skill to the best of my ability. And I learned a lot from all of these guys. But hey, there's some new ones out there. Billy Currington, I think he's a great singer. Joe Nichols is one of my good friends and one of the finest singers out there that, I mean, is for real, and so there's talent out there now. I don't think there's as much of it as there should be, thanks to all the modern day technology, because whether you're good or not, they can record a perfect record on you in the studio. You don't have to have the talent. I mean, that's the least of their worries. I mean, if you've got the look and if you're a good enough marketing device, well, they can cut a perfect record on you. And I'm just so thankful that I never did lean on that. I was one of those guys that worked all the clubs and honky-tonks and paid all the dues. And like I say, because being an entertainer was never one of my goals in life anyway. It just kind of happened. And like I say in my biography, it just kind of happened like sort of an accident. And I never took music for granted. And I've still got my body working tools that I used in the shop, when I went on the road full time. So, I mean, these fans, I mean, they can either like you or they can not like you.
Yeah.
And I just don't take them for granted. I try my best to please them in every way that I can. And I figure the best that I can do is maybe not, good enough for how good they've been to me.
Now, you've mentioned it, and I mentioned it, how about this whole journey was not something that you inspired as a kid. You weren't one of those kids who at 5 or 10 or what, I want to be a star, but you say it kind of happened sort of by accident. Can you elaborate on that story a little bit, on how it all came about, sir?
Well, as a boy, all I ever wanted to do was work on cars. I've always, it's always been my number one passion, and I'll tell you why. My whole family were singers. I mean, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, my dad, all of us used to sing in church and everything. And everyone, and that's, I'm probably not the best singer that there was in the family, but I'm the only one that took it up as an occupation. And in other words, I loved cars, and I wanted to work on cars, and the reason for that was I was going to be singing no matter what kind of job I had,
Right.
And So I was working on cars when I put a, of course, I'm kind of condensing it down, but I had this band going, and we worked in the nightclubs on at night on weekends, and I worked in the paint and body shops during the daytime, and that's what I was doing when a couple of guys heard me and said that they would like to record me, and I didn't think anything about it, but I thought, well, why not? And I never did believe that anything would ever become of it, but
it has.
And I rolled my tools in my garage, and I said, well, I'm going to give this music business a shot, and I'm going to give it everything I've got. And if it works good, if it don't, well, I've still got my tools. I can go back to working on cars. And fortunately for me and the fans out there, I haven't had to pull those tools out of the garage.
Do you still work on cars?
Well, I really don't have time.
Uh-huh.
I love to piddle around with them and dabble with them, and I've still got a little shop, back in Houston, called the toy shop, but I very, very seldom get to go over there, and because I'm so busy, the music has taken up so much of my time, and we've got so many things in the works.
Mm-hmm.
I just got this project out, and we're planning to go back in the studio and do another duet album with Miss Rhonda Vincent around the end of the year, first of next year, and I want to do another gospel album, and I'd like to do another full album of original material. So I've pretty much got a lot on my plate, and along with working on the road, the dates that we're doing, I don't have much time to play with my cars or anything. Yeah. But it's still something I love to do.
It's so close to your heart when you have the time.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more quick question here. If you've had a historical career and can just name names, of this person you worked with, that person, this person you played with, whatever. Is there an artist out there that you have not had the opportunity that if you had to pick one artist tomorrow to step out on stage with and do a song together, is there somebody out there that, you're thinking, whether they're dead or alive too, but someone out there that you would say, if I had tomorrow free and they had tomorrow free and we could go out on a stage together and do a little jam, who would it be? Who would that person be?
Well, that would be hard to say because I've been out on stage with George, George Jones, and we've worked tours together and shows together, and he and I have closed the shows together, singing together, and of course I had the pleasure of being called out on stage on one of Haggard's shows, and when Miss Bonnie Owens was doing the background, and I got to go out and sing background with Haggard, and I've recorded several of his songs, and I've worked on several shows with him, and so I've more or less had the cream of the crop. And I still admire so many people that I have worked with. To pick one in particular, it would be hard to do. Like, I just got through this last weekend working with Miss Rhonda Vincent, and we always do a portion of the show together and do some songs taken from our CD that we recorded together, and that's always a real pleasure for me to get to work with her. She's such a fantastic artist, and so it would be hard to pick one alone.
I'm sure there's lots of people out there who would have you on the top of their list, though. If someday he could just look my way and I could sing, I think that would be awesome.
Well, that's a compliment. I appreciate that, and it's you never know. In this business, I mean, you never know who's going to be around or who might want to come up and sing with you or whatever. I mean, I pretty much leave it all open to whatever happens. I don't even run a controlled show. I never write down a set list or anything. I mean, I play my shows strictly off the cuff, and if I can do what my fans want to hear, I don't care, what part of the show it's in. I try my best. I try my best to do it, and so I like doing it that way. My guys don't know what we're going to be doing next until I call it out.
Yeah. Well, that's nice, though, and it keeps the shows fresh. It keeps them different. I've spoken to artists that are very adamant about, nope, we follow a schedule. We do this, we do this, we do this. And then I've spoken to other artists with the same kind of mindset as yours, where it's like, hey, hell, we're just out there to have a good time. Whatever happens, happens, And, sometimes we play an hour, sometimes we play for 3 hours. Hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's awesome.
We are, we are dead serious with our music, although between the songs, I'm a real personable type of guy, on stage. and I try my best to ring the audience in as much as I can to make them part of the show, because without them there wouldn't be a show.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that, and it's refreshing to hear, because sometimes I think, it's a busy lifestyle, and there's so many places, and you mentioned it too. You're busy, you get pulled in so many different directions, and I think some get caught up in it. And, some are lucky enough to have somebody to kind of reel them back in and slap them upside the head and say, hey, dude, you need to get real, But it's nice that you have that personal restraint and know that it's where it's coming from, and that's the important part. And it's just been wonderful to speak with you. I don't want to tie you up this could go on forever. I just have so many questions for you. But
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, taking time to talk with me and being concerned, because I'm one of the older guys, but we're still making music. We're still, packing the houses and trying our best to satisfy all the fans, and that's what matters, really, when you get right down to it.
Well, we're going to play a couple of your songs a little bit later in the show, and one of them is Here Comes My Baby Back Again, and I forget you every day. Is there one of them particular that has a story you'd like to share before I play the song?
Well, the Here Comes My Baby Back Again, of course, was written and originally released by the late Miss Dottie West, who was a good friend of mine. In fact, we shared the same birthday.
Oh, nice.
But I just always admired her. I thought she was so unique and so great, and I just wanted to do something remembering her, and I recorded this. And for the fans that don't know, this song and Dottie West, she was the first woman to write a song, record it, take it to #1, and receive a Grammy Award for it in the country music field. And that's pretty heavyweight for Miss Dottie West, but she did on this song, Here Comes My Baby Back Again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then I Forget You Every Day. That's a song that Haggard wrote. He wrote it and put it in an album, never pulled it as a single. And from the first time I ever heard the song, I loved it. And I really didn't know whether I'd ever get a chance to record it until we started, paying homage to these people that I admire so much. And I thought, boy, what a great place to put this song. And so I included it on the CD. It's still one of my favorite songs, I Forget You Every Day.
And that's awesome. And now, just real quick, if people are interested in tracking you down or finding out where you're performing or knowing more about what you what's going on with you and where you're going to be and how to get the hands on their music, is there a best way that?
Yeah, the best way would be to go to our website, GeneWatsonMusic.com, and they can find out our tour schedule. We have links there where you can get our CDs, get our T-shirts, pictures, anything. You can order them online. You can find out what's going on. We have Facebook, and we tweet a little bit here and there. and so that sounds crazy, don't it? Tweet. But anyway, yeah, go to GeneWatsonMusic.com, and our website is operated out of Nashville, and they can find out what's going on and just about find out everything what goes on with Gene Watson.
Well, that is awesome, and I'm sure my listening audience will be jumping all over that. Looking forward to, possibly if you ever come up in this area, I want to extend an open-door invitation to you, sir, that our studios would always be open if you end up in the Northeast Pennsylvania area. Love to have you here. Love for you to stop by. Excuse me.
I really appreciate the invitation, Casey. Thank you so much.
And that just goes all the way around. And we'll look forward to some new music. We'll keep track of what you got going on, like on Facebook and all that great stuff. And it's just an honor and a pleasure to talk to you, sir. I really appreciate you taking the time, and just be safe driving.
Thank you. The pleasure's mine, and all the fans up there. We love you. Hang in there and keep on requesting at Gene Watson Music.
Really appreciate the time and effort, Mr. Gene Watson. And we're going to play his song, Here Comes My Baby Back, right after we take a quick break right here on Penn's Peak Radio. Don't go anywhere.